Gia. Squally. Back up in this botch. Hold up. Let me move this cordless phone out the way. Alright. Now we're going to let the synthesizer do most of the talking here. Because that's probably what we want, right? We probably would want that. So, we'll be still discussing and displaying phase engine. I think I broke that down to its entirety on how this engine in particular works. Alright. Now, when we get into other engines, such as, stuff like chromium and the chromium seals and the times and stuff like that, wire material, which consists of like Tesla tubes, ancient ocarinas, and just other stuff like that. They're done in the single cycle realm, which means you get down to, only portions of the actual image, but I would want to say that it still is quite interesting. So, without further ado, let's let the Blofeld howl. This would be a saw wave phase. Remember I told you FM plug is the patch cable. Now I left that mod wheel on. This box mighty powerful. Let's turn it up to square. Now I already explained that. I redid the oscillators and got some shots, but this is just squared. You cannot pulse width this one. Why? Because I already told you. I did the pulse width, and I did it in an inverted way too, and also play table, which we will get into in this episode, so you guys can see how this works. We will also display how you can run the ohm, which is making a self-resonant filter oscillation, go through the filter 2 in a series type of instance, and through this quote two-dimensional type of waveform. We will display that and more. See that? Turn this thing up to like what, 64? And then an 80. Oops. Scrolling too quick. Slow my roll. Hold up. Really radical. Remember I told you it's 2 foot. So 2 foot on the machine, and then it's at 4 feet on the program. So you know it's actually at 1 foot, so we're at negative something. Oh man, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying. We're in the negative. We're up to 0. Here, I'll turn it up to 8. Got 96 right here. I'll show you that. 96, 112. Want to be proper with the numbers. There you go. Nice and even for you. Off the frequency range, probably like -2 or something. But you can still hear it. Sounds like glass, virtually. That's really off the range. Here, but actually, go to a ½ foot and go down. That's way off the range. Turn to 1. Maybe keep it on 2 or something. But you see what I'm saying. So, turn the triangle. Sounds completely different than square. See that? And that's because we're changing the cycles. Turn to 2. That's 32 over 48. Yeah, you see how it works. Alright, so let's move on to the pulse. Now, I showed you that the pulse, and then there's one that has to be inverted. Well, that's because you have to start at the other end of the pulse width knob, which would be 127, and turn to -64 to go the other way. Observe. Have you know for this, the cyclic is controlled by this. Footage controls the cyclic of this, and also play table. Because they would have been done in single cycle form, so therefore it would be 32, but actually registering as 8. And that means if you're at 8 foot and you turn to 16, you would be at 64, 128, 256, 512, and so on and so forth. That would wrap that up in an explanation right there. That and play table, because play table is a fixed pulse wave. We'll get into that in a sec, and we'll also get into the ohms and yata. I gotta try to wrap this up quick. I knew it was gonna happen. Slamming on them goddamn keys, man. Camera game's messed up, y'all. I'm sorry. Alright, check it. Alright, so, yeah. And you're moving Alright, so let's go to play table, which is the fixed pulse wave. See it here stepping? That's how you know it's fixed. How that works is 0, 32, 64, and 96. Those are actually the numbers for the steps. 0, 32, 64, 96. That's how that goes. I'm telling you that right now. Because it's a 4 thing. Alright? And since it's inverted, it's the opposite. But it's still 0, 32, 64, 96. It's just inverted. Alright? So, What is this? Metal tuning for 202. Some deep stuff out of single cycle images because you zoom in on it. That's how that works with a lot of stuff. With the single cycle, you get like the zoom in type of a function, because I'll show you here on this diagram. You know, you guys call me a hippie or whatever frick you want, and I'm gonna show you straight like that. This is the bacteria grain, or on the front is a random grain. I'll explain that in later videos, and about the heavily scattered, which is 0 to 31, which would be this right here, yata. Ba ba ba. Alright, so bacteria grain. In a single cycle form, you will see it like this. I will show you that on the programming yata. As you go down in the footage, because the footage is actually causing the cycle or the spread, you would be zooming in on the bacteria, which you will see in closer range as you zoom in on the wave cycle, because that's how it works. That's how it also works for Mosaic engine. These two engines have that similarity. You're zooming in on the Mosaic bricks. You're zooming in on the single cycle and you're sweeping through them as you turn down the footage, not as you turn the pulse width knob, because the pulse width knob would be switching the bacteria or brick that you're using or playing on or whatever, or harmonizing. Okay? On random grain, the pulse width knob will dictate whether you're in the scattered portion or the heavily scattered portion, the scattered, the clustered, and the heavily clustered, because as you see, the diagram gets more clustered as you go up. But as you go up in pulse width from 0 to 127, that's how it would go. From 0 to 31 would be heavily scattered and yatam shata. to scatter, to cluster, and heavily cluster, and yata. Okay, that's how that works for this. But the pulse width knob is going through the type of whatever you're on, which direction bricks or whatever, however you zoomed in on it. The footage zooms in on these, on the grain, on the bacteria grain and the mosaic grain. The footage also does that for this too, in essence. But it's more scattered and clustered and oh man, you know what I'm saying. The resolution on the bacteria and the bricks get bigger on this, and yatam shata. All right, so that's what I'm saying. And yeah, we'll get into some more stuff, probably like resonators and stuff, and break that down real simple and easy. You know, I got little diagrams for people now. Talking a lot of noise. Can you perceive it to be true? I know you do. I'll catch you on the flip, squadron.